Wow. Look at us. Look at us, guys. We're going to go ahead and welcome you in as I add my absolutely beautiful mother into the share stream because she likes to tune in and chime in. So we're gonna try to keep it PG here. But welcome back to a literal, and when I say like a welcome back, I mean like a hearty, let's breathe for a second. Welcome not only everybody back that's going to watch us live, watch us on obviously the rerun, but also welcome back, Rusi. Where
We're
you
back,
been?
baby. We're back. Yeah, just went through some adversity that I needed to take, some time away, uh, and just kind of just focus on myself. So, and it's hard to stay away from my good friend Trey and talking, about the show. We've been doing this on and off for, since college,
Mm-hmm.
technically. So, I think I think it was good to come back. So I'm glad we're back, and we have a lot to talk about today since the last time I've been on, at least. So I'm gonna yield to you and let's get it going, man.
Absolutely. So to kind of give you guys a catch up, even honestly myself, I definitely want to first and foremost say thank you to everybody that was giving us not only our new viewers but also the people that were chiming in, whether it's on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and also here on the channel, friends, acquaintances, people we've met through here, whatever the case may be. A lot of positive momentum and a lot of things going into 2024. The last we talked, we hadn't even announced the Heisman Trophy winner yet. So there's a lot of things that happened, but we kind of talked about what needed to happen in order for basically the Heisman Trophy to go any different than it did. You all know who won it. Um, it was an interesting college football playoff because I don't really think that you never really felt like Alabama was gonna really go away in that game, but it felt like after everything that Michigan had been through, that if there was a team that was going to win it based on the trenches, and you and I even kind of talked about this, it felt a little bit like when TCU made it to play Georgia. It wasn't quite to that extent because you and I did, I think, have plays on Washington to kind of maybe keep it close. When they walked out of the tunnel, and we weren't obviously at the game, but when they walked out of the tunnel and you saw the still shot, it was like, oh man. So I definitely think it was more of a mismatch than I really wanted to see, and because of that, all the hats off to the Wolverines, man. They Michigan went in, stomped them, and took their lunch money and kind of kind of ran back home. So I don't know if you saw anything different, but it was kind of a slap around. No disrespect, but
No, I mean I agree. I mean, I guess it was definitely a lot closer than the previous year with Georgia and TCU, like you alluded to.
everything was closer than that.
Yeah, but I
But
mean, honestly, in my opinion, I think there was a stain on this year as far as not like necessarily an asterisk, but but just with the committee's decision making for the final four put a lot of uh, attention on themselves compared to the kids that were on the field, and it was a shame that happened. It was a tough decision that it had to happen. Just wanted to get your opinion on that. Since let's start there, I guess, because that was them, the committee leaving out FSU, and then basically what unfolded from there. Them playing Georgia, the kids opting out of the bowl game. It kind of started a nasty roller coaster ride that went downhill quickly. So I wanted to get your opinion. Did the committee make the right decision? Was there a stain, in your opinion? Put on maybe Michigan's game or taking away the attention from the kids, basically.
so I guess that depends on how it is that you want to look at it. If you want to look at it through the lens of what's fair, then no, they obviously didn't. But there was never a precedent that this college football playoff in this model, as it was supposed to be fair. And there were several. I mean, everybody saw the screen grabs of what exactly you judge, winners and losers by, whether they're undefeated, one loss, two loss, how they make it, injuries to key players, coaches not being there. But the best argument that I found from someone, and I really don't even, I wish I could tell them their name to give them the credit for it, but this isn't my viewpoint. And I thought it was brilliant. Uh, If, if, if Michigan were to not get Jim, right? if Michigan were to not get Jim for the Natty, do they then judge Michigan the same way that they judge FSU without Jordan Travis? And the answer is no, they don't. And the reason for that is because you've already seen their body of work without their head coach, and they did win. And now you can also say you saw Florida State's body of work without Jordan Travis, and the bodies of work weren't the same. You also saw what a team needed in order to win, and it was a dominant defensive effort in every game. Florida State, literally without Jordan Travis, could not win without their defense. So hats off to them. And by the letter of the law, they won and are now not being rewarded for winning all of their games. And it doesn't mean that the regular season doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that your conference championship doesn't matter. What it means is that this model of a 4-game playoff was stupid and not good. And this is why the 12-team playoff is going to be able to let the decisions be made onto the field. Now, could we have put Florida State into the Final Four and let them play out? And would they have lost to Michigan? Yes. And I'm hearing you, Mr. I want not you. I'm just Mr. Mrs. Hindsight's 2020. Well, Alabama lost to Michigan too. Did you see how the game went? So I don't want to play it as though we had a dog in the fight, because you and I already knew how they were going to decide the night before. Like we made money on the move. So you and I knew what was going to happen. But it's difficult, but if it's the NCAA's fault for giving us a 4-team playoff. Like, this is the only sport in America that does it this way, and it's their fault. Like, they have to answer to Florida State because of the decision they made to go to a 14 playoff and be married to this garbage for as long as we've been married to it. That's how I feel.
Yeah, no, I think there was room to improve, and there is, I think, going forward. And I think the big thing that needs to be understood by the committee going forward, because we're still going to have these issues, right? Just on a lower scale. Like, we're not going to have, maybe undefeated Power 5 schools that win their conference championship, but maybe like those smaller schools that maybe have a loss or undefeated, like Liberty and stuff like that. We'll still have these arguments, but I think the biggest thing they need to work on is making the intent clear in their rankings every week, right? So I think if they would have shown this was the trend they were going in with, like, hey, we understand Jordan Travis is out, okay? Let's replicate that and how we feel about them each week in the play, like in the rankings. And I don't think they did that. I think we saw a couple games prior to the decision being made, and they didn't look good, right? I mean, they didn't look good. That was clear. And I don't think they sent a good message. They kind of basically led them on, in my opinion, just by their rankings every week. And I think, I didn't even know this, but I didn't even know the some of the regulations or the guidelines that they were upholding as far as, hey, if you don't have a player, we're going to take that into consideration. Well, let's take that into consideration week 11, week 10, when these injuries happened, and let's see then, because I think they really just let them on. And me and you both knew. Vegas didn't even know, dude. I don't know if that was necessarily a thing about people were just not like we're betting Florida State or what, but I saw that line the weekend of the conference championships, and I was going ape shit, dude. Excuse my language.
Yeah,
Sorry for cussing.
you texted me immediately.
Yeah, I mean, and I was like, why is Florida State minus 400 to get in? Why? It just doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I think, like I said, I think they made the right decision. I think just the way it was all handled took a bit. It kind of came off with some bad intent, in my opinion. I just think it came off the wrong way. It looked like a power trip. It's the first time it ever happened, which I'm shocked. That it hasn't happened. It took this long for this situation to happen, but
and
won't
yeah,
talk about that. That was big. I mean, that was a big decision by them. I actually kind of I was not shocked, but shocked at the same time. Like, Mike, is this real life? Is this actually happening? Did they really just leave out a Power 5 school that went undefeated?
It was biblical to watch it go down in flames the way that it did, because you knew that it was a lot. And and you can say whatever you want. The script is out. Like spare me for a minute because I can promise you that they don't want to piss off one of their largest media bases. In fact, there was something I saw actually on Twitter today, and it was the amount of teams that definitely bring in eyeballs, definitely bring in immediate attention, but there was like four that bring in the immediate generated revenue. Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Georgia. The fifth one is LSU. So when you get into schools like that, Florida State being included, an entire state, but it's split. It doesn't matter if it's split. You know how many thousands and millions of people still want to watch Florida State play football? It doesn't matter if you don't like the ACC. It doesn't matter if you don't like, the way that they finish their games, if their competition's worse, or like Notre Dame. Notre Dame hasn't even joined a conference still, and people still line up to watch them. They're not out to get these teams. They're not out to, give people their seance or whatever the case and, let them ride off into the sunset. That's not really how it works. But it is their fault for setting this precedent, and it's their fault for having to, to bathe in the bath that they drew the water in. Like you made the bed, lay in it. Whatever hyperbole you want to say. And I honestly, I don't want to say that I feel bad because that's not fair because these kids do compete and they knew what they were getting into. And it's just now, but again, if you want to just go on what's fair, then no. They didn't get it right, and you should let Florida State at least have the benefit of saying that we got in. But then you're playing into the so we're into just like, what do you want it for? So you can have the playoff T-shirt, like so I get it, but none of it would have mattered because Florida State, and I know results need to be played on the field. I am this way. You and I both know who is going to win that game between Florida State and Michigan, and you could give me 1,000 reasons why the result needed to be played on the field, but you and I both know what was going to happen. And because of that, Jim not only took that, won the whole thing, but then he said, deuces.
And so as he should. I mean, right. As he should. I mean, he had caught a lot of flack, and obviously there were some things going on with the program that he got a lot of heat for. I think it was the right move, though. I mean, he had stuck it out with that team. Like there was a bunch of guys on that team, like Corum, like McCarthy, that had been there and decided to come back one more year to fulfill, that dream of winning a championship. And I think he made the right move of getting out. Maybe we'll see some bad stuff happen as far as, the penalties always happen a couple years after, the coach leaves or stuff like that, but we'll see. But I think it was the right move. So good for him.
I agree. And honestly, you got to the point where you kind of thought that Jim was going to leave. And when he hired the agent and everybody was kind of making the suggestive comments like, oh man, like what if he's just, what if it's just a ruse? I'm like, guys, sometimes the answer is like nailing you in the face. And it's kind of like letting you know what's up, like without, really, really letting you know what's up. And I'm going to be completely straight with you, bro. I think I saw this. I think I saw this coming, but I had a hard time believing that it would be this easy. Like there was almost so much media coverage about it that there was like no media coverage about it. It was like he interviewed, he's still interviewing. Oh wait, he got a coffee. Okay. He left. All right, cool. And then their search lasted like 37 seconds because all they did was like go knock on the next office door, and they're like, "Hey, Coach Sherrone, you stepping in?" But look, you and I know we obviously cheer for the powers that be as far as the guys that put in the work, the nasties, and there's something to that rugged, rough, run it down your throat, 3 yards in a cloud of dust offense that Michigan likes. And Coach Sherrone is obviously very deserving of that title, and we're super excited about it. And I can't wait to see what that means for younger guys that wait their turn. They wait their turn. They do the whole Michigan man thing, and I'm with you. But I think that's a good demonstration of what kids should have in a leadership position, growing and putting themselves on the team.
No, of course.
So shout out to Coach.
100% agree with that. And yeah. So I guess before we move on here, because like I said, you're going to start seeing this is going to be more off the cuff. Like just I want this to feel like we normally do. We normally talk it up and shoot the stuff. So one. And I just wanted to get your opinion on this. What's your opinion on Saban Saban calling it quits, and B, the hire
Man.
for Alabama. I wanted to hear your thoughts because we really haven't talked much about it in detail. So
Yeah,
let's hear it.
on or off cam, by the way. So the way I would best explain this to anybody that really wants to know why, how. I said this at the beginning of the year. There was always the scuttle that Saban was going to go out with a bang. That was never anything that he said. That was never anything that a player said, an insider said. It was people around the circles that knew never said that. It was the fan perspective of the man has been the center of everything for forever. Surely he's not going to go unless he wins another one, right? And it just felt like he was going to go forever. Well, sometimes it's best to just walk away while your hands sort of kind of getting raised. I mean, you made the college football playoff. None of us thought they were going to win the college football playoff or be in the college football playoff rather after that South Florida game. I mean, when you watch that, and by the way, speaking of which, Ohio State won the next 24 natties. I mean, they're trying to. They got to beat Michigan first. Says Snee. Look, I think it's better to go out now while you can. I know that I don't know the man personally. I don't obviously have, the close relations. Nobody has my number that's inside the building, but I do know that the man did not love the whole NIL thing. It's wearing on a lot of coaches. There have been a lot of discussions and scuttlebutts. Our big bro Josh Pate has said it several times. There's a lot of other coaches closer to being done than you might think, and that have considered the NFL game or the Sunday game rather because of this metric. I get it. He wants to. Yeah, I don't know if you saw the house he bought in Florida. I mean, it's time for him to be involved in Alabama in a different way. I think he'd make an incredible addition to television. The man is made for TV. He's funny. He's still got it. Like he's charismatic. Like everything about Coach, I'm here for it. But I think to answer the question about the hire, Kellen DeBoer knows how to coach football. You and I know that. Everybody in this room knows that. There's nobody else in this room, by the way. It's just us and my picture of Derek Jeter back there. But I think this is going to take time. I've texted one of my friends. Shout out to my dog Gray, who's a Bama fan. This is going to take time. Okay, this is not something that happens overnight. We saw it at LSU. You can't just take people and win immediately. Doing that does not happen. You can maybe win the West and make it to the SEC championship like Brian Kelly did. But even still, you had to have a year away Heisman Trophy winner to get you there. Like Jaden Daniels was the reason why LSU got there. Brian Kelly was the engine that helped make it go. Jaden Daniels was the gas, dog. I don't care what anybody says. Jaden Daniels got you to those wins. You don't win those games without him. You didn't know he was going to be the best quarterback in the nation the next year, but he was the reason why you won 10 games. And so what I think we're going to see now is we're going to see a different fan base that is not used to this be frustrated with the little things, but have to play the long game. He does know ball. He can recruit. He can coach. Give him time. I think he'll win there. I think he'll win a lot there. It's going to take time, and you can't Auburn your way into the man's life. Give him more than a year. Like, give him some time to coach. You can't watch 6 games and go, whoop, that's the final product. No.
No, I agree. The fan base will have a meltdown. This is what?
They
How
already
long was
are.
he there for?
They already
Was he
are.
there? 15 years, Saban? This has been almost a decade and a half. So yeah, I mean they're definitely not going to be used to this.
So we were like 12 and 13 years old whenever he
Yeah.
was.
Yes, I mean, yeah, they're definitely gonna have a meltdown. They're gonna kind of get a taste of maybe people like us, LSU fans, or those colleges that are top 5, top 10, but don't consistently win. The big ones. So I think it makes them realistic. I think the aura of Saban is gone, and I think that was a big factor into Alabama's impact, if that makes sense. They've had the good players, they've had the the well disciplined playing and all that stuff, but I think the aura of Nick Saban, he's the best of all time. We know this. I think that's gone now, and DeBoer's a good coach. I don't necessarily agree with the hire. I think they're going to put him on a short leash, and I think what DeBoer is good at is building a university from the ground up. That's what he did with Washington. Uh, that's probably his best specialty, in my opinion. He's a good coach, not taking away from him, but I think in this situation, he's not coming to a place that's crumbling to the ground. This is the standard, in my opinion. You can come at me. I know the facial expression I got from you there was
No.
there, but
I, I'm with you. No, I'm with you. And I don't want to ruin the point. I don't want to step on this, but I
no,
agree.
yeah,
You're not coming into this is what I'm saying. You're not coming into a win now mode. And if he comes and wins 10 games, like what the hell are the next year's going to look like if you can win 10 games with it? You know what I'm saying? Like that's where I'm at. And so that's why I'm saying typically when this happens, you and I did this last year with Colorado. I was just wrong by one game. I was wrong by one game. And they started out hot as a cannon. I was right though. It takes time. I was just wrong by one game. So I implore the people of Tuscaloosa to please give this man his time, because the other school in your state that you hate, Auburn, doesn't. And they have ruined other people from wanting to be the coach because of how the fans treat their coaches, because of how much say-so the money grabbers and the powers that be and the wallets, I call them the wallets, what kind of say-so they have. Do you think that if Coach Moore goes at Michigan this year, wins 8 or 9 games, that he's fired? Absolutely not. Their fan base is proven that they're okay with that, as long as you have a forward season and a forward progressive mentality to get us to more than that. If that's the case, if Michigan was on the kind of people to get people out of there, then Jim would have never been able to win there. You know how long it took him to win, and he finally started to beat Ohio State, finally started to put double-digit wins. Now we're in the Big Ten championship. Then you get, call it what you want, your ass spanked a little bit by TCU, and you end up losing that game. And he comes back and wins the whole thing. You go undefeated with just smash mouth. Give it time. That's all I'm saying. I agree with you. Not a win now mode. And if it does, then he might be the next Saban.
yeah, no, agreed. And
I think he will win.
Getting back to our good pal Snee, his point, he brought up the topic of Ohio State. Let's talk about them.
Okay.
Okay. What are your thoughts on the moves they made? Lots of traffic from the portal, both coming in and going outwards. So what are your thoughts at some of the action that took place there? And I can name a few just to, maybe preface the conversation. Caleb Downs, 5-star safety from Alabama, transfers over there. Same with the quarterback. I think his name is Julian Sayin or Sayin.
Julian Sayin, yeah.
Yeah, he also transferred there. Quinshon Judkins, arguably the number one running back going into the next season, right? I mean, the quarterback from Kansas State, Will Howard, he'll likely be the starter over there and kind of pave the way for Julian. And they've got a couple other prospects that came in, as well as they also lost some people. They lost Julian Fleming. He was probably going to be their number one receiver. He had been there for several years, but he had transferred to a rival in Penn State. Kyle McCord, obviously the starting quarterback from their last year, is also gone. He is off to Syracuse, and Trip Trayanum, he was going to probably be their number one running back. Ohio State always has good running backs, so he's going to Kentucky. I expect him to have a great year there as well. So what are your thoughts? Do you think they're moving in the right direction? And obviously, I forgot to name the one that transferred to LSU, Jair Brown, cornerback that hopefully saves us because, geez, we need some DBs. So
do not forget about Seth McLaughlin either, and I don't think there's any relation to the ASPCA commercial, Sarah McLaughlin, but definitely an interesting one. So here's how I look at it. There's a couple of teams that are obviously trying to build their way through the transfer portal. Ohio State, Ole Miss. If you're in the business of trying to win right now, spend whatever it takes to do it. We need to win right now. Ohio State, Ole Miss. Ole Miss believes they've got a chance to. I believe they're in the playoff next year as long as they take care of business the same way that they're doing. They remain healthy. You're one stupid play away in that game from not going your way. Like you're Jaden Daniels not fumbling the ball from losing to LSU in the worst game that LSU played defensively in the history of their entire program, which was objectively your best game. So you're one play away from losing that game. And I still think that even with a 2-loss like that, Ole Miss is still in it. 2-loss does not guarantee that you're in. It's how did the 2 losses look and who are the 2 losses? Because newsflash, sneak peek, secret time. I think there's going to be a lot of 2-loss teams next year in college football. But I think that what you're seeing with Ohio State is that they're desperately trying to buy their way in right now. Jim Harbaugh left. This has to be the time. It felt that way for Michigan this year. Like it felt like if you're not going to win it now, when the hell are you going to win it? You've been beating Ohio State. They're the only team that's really on your schedule that's going to stop you until you get to the semifinal game. And then if you can't win now, when are you going to do it? It already felt like Jim was going to leave. It already felt like everything was happening for them to win now. I'm not telling you that I think that Ole Miss is going to win right now, win the whole thing or anything like that. I'm not telling you I think Ohio State's going to win right now because newsflash, I don't really know. Look, Will Howard's good, man, but I don't get that one. The quarterback move there was weird. It didn't get a lot of run. I mean, it got some run, but it didn't get a lot of run. And maybe that's because we're in the South, I guess. But that was weird for me. And I'm not entirely sure on that one. I love that they're making these moves, and I really, really, really like the pterodactyls that they have on defense right now. But man, I definitely think they're going to be in the playoff. Obviously, if you're the top 11, the conference champs, and then the rest of them, I think they'll be in it. But I have to see it. I know that's cheating, but do I think they're the best team in the Big Ten right now? Yeah, I do. I think they win the Big Ten, so I think they'll be in it, and I think they'll have a really good chance. And if they don't win now, then I think you're going to have some unhappy folks.
No, yeah. Another point, feel free, like I said, to drop your comments or thoughts or questions. We're glad to stop what we're doing and talk about it. So I think we're alluding to if Ryan Day gets the boot, or you think he'll get the boot if they don't win with all those additional pieces, right? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, because they wanted to boot him now.
And I think we're going to start seeing this more.
Yeah.
Now we have this precedent. Okay, there's 12 teams in the playoffs. You're going to start seeing coaches get fired for not winning the first round or for not getting to a certain point in the playoffs. I think Ryan Day,
Russo, he's 56-7.
Yeah, I mean,
he's 56-7, and they wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, and look, do I think they need to do anything about it? Let's see. I mean, I think we're gonna start finding out how good these coaches are because I mean, you can't just plug and play in certain situations. You have to have the coaching, right? And look, 2019 LSU was an exception in my opinion because you just had so much talent on the field. But other than that, you're not seeing these teams take 5 to 7 pieces from the transfer portal and it just going perfect. It's
right.
It's going to take a while. I think we saw that with Ohio State this year. I think you had one of the best receivers in the league with a quarterback that just didn't pan out. And I say pan out, he had a damn good year. I would take him if I were LSU. I would take. I mean, obviously we had Jaden Daniels, but yeah, I think he will get the boot. I think we're starting to get into that territory where it's go time for Ohio State, right? I mean,
let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. You just said it, so let's do it. We're gonna play it. Give me somebody else. We're playing the hot seat game. If we're gonna do it, no. You just did it. You just said you thought he was gonna get the boot, so let's play the hot seat right now. College football 2024. Give me some names. Start. Go. I want three.
Let's start with Billy
Off the
Napier.
dome.
Let's start with
Ooh,
Billy Napier.
good one. Okay.
I think he needs to start getting some.
How many?
I think the flames are coming up a little
How
bit
many?
because
How many?
out of what? I got
How many
10.
wins? How many
Oh, how
wins?
many wins does he need to not get fired?
Yep.
What did they do with Anthony Richardson? That was his first year, correct? How many wins? Did they
Ah,
win 8?
dude, you're gonna
Can
make
you
me.
look? Because they won like 5 or 6 last year, right? They didn't have a good year last year. I don't think. I could be completely off on that.
Billy Napier's first year, they went 5-7.
Oh, with Anthony Richardson?
No. I'm tripping.
That was 5-7 this year, huh?
5-7 this year. In 2022, they went 6-7.
Okay, so 2 seasons so far below 500.
You
What do we
wanna you
know
wanna
about
see how
Florida,
that?
right?
Do you want to see how that looked, or do you care?
No, I don't care.
Okay.
I think I know how it looked. Uh, 2 bad seasons and the standards of a good SEC team, right? When you think of the standard in the SEC, you've got Bama, LSU, Georgia,
Mhm.
Florida, right? Those are the 4 big schools that just have that
Mhm.
standard that come along with it. He's just not packing the punch. He's just not packing the punch. Brian Kelly, what do you think? What do you think would happen to Brian Kelly if he started out 5-7 and 6-7 or 6-6, whatever it is?
Gone.
Yeah. So let's start putting some eyes towards them because I
Before
think, yeah. So that's the first one in my opinion. I know we've got Penn State also brought up here. James Franklin.
Jamie Frank. Before we go to the second one, can we do the let's look at the schedule and so give me your right hand for win, left hand for losses. Okay.
For
Let's
this
start.
year
For
or
Florida State.
this
For
coming
Florida.
year?
For Florida, yes.
Okay.
First game, April 13th, the orange and blue game. They obviously win that one. It's their spring game. That's not funny. So August 31st, they play Miami at home. Win or loss? Actually, no. Don't say it. Just give me. I can't because I can't see your face right now. Just right hand for wins, left hand for losses.
Miami first game at home.
To now.
Second game,
Samford at home.
Well, they're 1-1.
A&M at home.
Ooh.
I know.
Who did A&M hire? Some no name, huh?
No name. Oh, Anthony. Did you say no name for Texas A&M football?
Hold on.
No, don't look now.
I'm looking.
I'm
Yeah.
not even
Some no name.
he's not a no name.
Mike Elko? No
Mike
name.
Elko is a bucket.
Mike Elko's a bucket. Okay, whatever.
No,
obviously,
no
you
thank
really
You can obviously see, guys, he took his sabbatical serious. Okay, I just want to let y'all know.
okay. So A&M at
They're
home.
1-1. They're at A&M.
They have them at home.
I give them a win. 2-1.
Okay. At State.
Mississippi
Jeff
State?
Levy. Jeff Levy is their coach. They're at Mississippi State.
They win.
UCF at home.
Ooh,
Mhm.
I'm assuming Plumlee.
Mm.
That's going to be a big game for Gus. I don't know what talent. I've got to see what talent UCF is coming in because they're
Okay.
replacing Plumlee at quarterback. But I'm going to go with a loss. That's UCF.
Okay.
So 3-2.
Get ready. Hold my beer. At Tennessee.
L 3-3.
Kentucky at home.
3-4.
Georgia at home.
No.
3-5.
Georgia neutral. Georgia
3.
neutral.
I don't care. 3-5.
At Texas.
3-6.
LSU at home.
3-7.
Ole Miss at home.
3-8.
Florida State at Florida State.
Who knows? I'll give them a win just to be nice.
4-8.
4-8.
Okay.
4-8. So yeah, they might not win an SEC game. Holy shit!
Next coach on your list.
Penn State, James Franklin. I think.
Wow. Okay, Jamie Franks.
I think.
Okay.
No. This is what was brought up.
Oh, okay. So this isn't on your list. You're just bringing.
This isn't on my list. I think he's not on the hot seat. You know why? He's kind of the big dog right now. He's the most coveted coach, in my opinion.
I agree.
And Penn State doesn't have the same standard as Michigan and Ohio State, or there maybe Ohio State's the question, the good comp there. I don't think he is. I think they're going to if they had a quarterback last year that had a pulse, they would have won the national championship. Don't at me. Don't at me. I watched the game with them in Michigan. Their defense was arguably better. They just didn't have a pulse. JJ McCarthy at least is a pulse. And that's not
That
cap,
game,
dude.
that
That's
game was
not cap.
fun.
They would have won the national championship.
Do you remember how hauntingly sober that game made us?
Yeah. And I almost fell asleep.
I did. I did at halftime. Okay. All right. Next coach on your list. Come on.
On the list.
Next coach on your list.
Let's go with.
I hear you clicking, you cheater. I'm just playing.
No.
I'm just playing. So Billy Napier number one, which is, that goes without saying. Come on. I see you, dude. I know you want to say it. Come on. Ooh.
I think the standards are a little high right now.
Oh.
I think the
no, sir.
The waters are rising a little bit.
No, sir.
I think the goalposts are moving for the expectations of Ole Miss, and with how hard the SEC has now become with the additions of Texas and Oklahoma, that basically eliminates one of those easier SEC games. And we know SEC games are not easy, right? But geez, those two teams coming in, let's get their schedule out. I mean, we had them beating the Gators, but I don't know what their non-conference schedule is like. The expectation is they have to make the playoffs, right? They have to make the playoffs. Lane Kiffin's that guy. They've been really good at recruiting the last couple of years. Obviously, with the transfer portal, they had a big L with losing their number one running back. But I don't know, man. We've kind of seen the same stuff from Ole Miss, right? Have we not? I mean, we've kind of seen the hype, the barely make it through games. They're not dominating in their wins that they should. Every game they play against a top 15 opponent is close. Like you had alluded to with LSU and how they play one of the worst statistically played games on the defensive side of the ball, and they still barely won. I'm telling you, man. I think it's a low flame, but I think if he chokes up to maybe 7-5, might be talking about it.
I'd be shocked if they finish 7-5 because their schedule does not does not suggest that.
But there's a world they do get there, and if they do get there,
oh brother, I think this roster is a little bit too good for 7-5. Let's look at it, and I'm going to give you my two reasons why I think that's the craziest thing I've ever heard you say in our entire friendship.
I'm assuming, old boy's back, the quarterback's back, right?
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Furman at home, Middle Tennessee at home, at Wake Forest, Georgia Southern at home, Kentucky at home, at South Carolina, at LSU, yikes, Oklahoma at home, at Arkansas, Georgia at home, at Florida State at home. You're telling me you see 5 losses on that schedule? Even if they lose the immediate the big name games and just say they drop LSU, Oklahoma, and Georgia, they still only put you at 3. I think they're heads and toes better than Kentucky, but it's still a trap game. So South Carolina doesn't have Spencer Rattler anymore, and I don't really think that Florida's going to beat them. I also don't think that State's got to answer for them. But I guess
Ole Miss is liable to lose trap games.
Okay,
they're not like Georgia. They're not like Bama used to be when it came to those trap games. The trap games were somewhat close, but they were not really in danger of losing. I think Ole Miss flirts with danger a lot. They almost lost to Tulane. Not saying that's like a mid team because Tulane's very good, but they got very lucky in that game. They shouldn't have been that close. Mm-hmm. And I could name a couple of other games that happened in, I think. So yeah, I like I said, low simmer. But if he finds a way to 7-5, do not be shocked if he either A, leaves, or B is Cam.
Okay, now that's cheating out of the hot seat because you can't leave and it counts.
I mean,
But
you can
I
leave.
will.
You can leave of the
Oh,
fear of being fired.
okay. So let's go. So let's go win totals right now. Okay, they only have Alabama up right now. So Alabama and Colorado. You want to know what Colorado's is?
5.5.
5.5.
Well,
Alabama's
8.5, which is
nine
probably
and a half.
that's still the lowest I've ever seen it.
Bro, I'm gonna tell you what. I dare you to take the under on Ole Miss's wins when it comes out because I'm telling you it's gonna be some suspect mess. I'm telling you, okay, 2 reasons why Lane Kiffin isn't getting fired. Who's better than him that's gonna go there? Who's better than him that's gonna go there? I don't have an answer, neither do you. They also just won the most games they've ever won in the last 2 years ever. And he's finally getting buy-in financially. Now, you can make the case that the people that because remember we've already talked about this unsustainable model that you've already forked out all this money to get players, and if you're, hey, look, I need $100K to get this guy that can play, and he can't play, well, I'm not giving you any more money. They're going to have the A&M problem in a year if their people don't perform. However, I don't think that's it. But give me your third coach that you think's on the hot seat.
Last point before I move on
Okay.
to my third coach is I think we're overlooking the whole Judkins departure.
They're putting all their money into the transfer portal, not the current players, which I agree with you.
I think there's a bigger deal going on there that might be internal. That you're not getting buy-in from arguably the number 1 running back in the country this year, who was arguably the best running back last year going into the season. I think there was a lot of times where I would bet on a touchdown for him or bet his yardage, and I'm seeing Ulysses Bentley the fourth get half the carries. Why is that the case if you've got a number 1 back like Judkins? I'm assuming money was not as big of an issue as it might have been published or publicized. That's just my thoughts on that. The third team, I don't know.
Pretty sure Judkins was a complete a-hole.
I'm sure he was too. I'm not denying that, but I think that goes hand in hand, right? I think if your ego is big enough and you're not getting 95% of the carries and you're seeing some split, I think that could play a factor. Kind of like,
but you're
third team, third coach.
Don't make it hard, Anthony. Don't make it hard. Come on.
Is there an obvious one I'm missing?
Yes. And I will not give you the answers.
I'm going to go with Dabo Swinney.
Okay.
I think he's more safe because of how weak the ACC is. Now, if we see a merge of a power conference with them, they are in trouble, especially if they come to the SEC. Big trouble. Because I think Dabo Swinney is the unfortunate example, not saying Saban was, but he's the unfortunate example of NIL pushing his strengths out. I think he was one of the best recruiters in the last couple of decades, as far as just a straight recruiter. Saban was as well. There's just a new tide going on now with NIL and the impact it's having on football. Not many freshmen are waiting around. Not many young guys are waiting around. Recruiting is kind of taken with a grain of salt because a lot of that has to do with money, right? There was no money involved. Well, I'm sure there was money under the table, but there was no money involved when it came to recruiting. There was no offers like they have to do now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Dabo needs to go somewhere, maybe he's in trouble. That's all I'm saying.
Bro,
I think you need, because like the coaching is sus, right? We've seen that over the last couple of years. We've had some good examples over the last couple of years of of some question mark coaching, right? Especially with him throwing his quarterback under the bus last year after that game, uh, where the quarterback supposedly it was a botched call, and the quarterback in overtime kept it himself, and he threw him under the bus and saying he was supposed to hand it off. I think is the scenario that happened there. So I just think he doesn't have it as good as he used to, and I think with the structure of the Power Five conferences right now, we're going to see a merging soon of some sort. I would imagine the SEC, since they're going to continue to expand. Yeah, or even the Big Ten. Even the Big Ten, they are the product of playing in a bad conference. They're like the NFC South. Sorry,
I'm
but I mean,
I'm
it is.
I'm gonna give you three names, and I don't even think that I need to go into detail as to why I'm gonna give you these three names, and then we're gonna save some of this for our next episode, which we're gonna preview the national signing class. We got National Signing Day, official one. You know, it's now the smaller of the two, but it's gonna definitely be National Signing Day on this Wednesday. But I'm gonna give you my three, and in order: Billy Napier. I don't need to say anymore. Chip Kelly, Sam Pittman.
Why Pittman?
Because he was almost gone this time. They gave him one last effort, and it felt like Jimbo. One last effort to look, hey man, bring somebody around for your offensive coordinator that's going to make this work. Give us somebody, because they have so many close game losses. If he doesn't win, I think he's done. And I love Sam. I love Coach. Everybody loves Sam Pittman. But Arkansas does have a standard to uphold to themselves, that they want to at least win something. And it just doesn't feel like they've done that. I think KJ leaving really hurts a lot. And it just so happens that the offensive coordinator that A&M hired and that Sam wanted to give the chance to get it on track is the same guy. So
Speaking of UCF, how I mentioned who they were replacing Plumlee with, it is KJ Jefferson.
KJ's going to UCF.
That's where he committed.
Okay,
yeah.
wow. I don't know if I knew that.
I
did.
Look, if y'all want to keep updated with the transfer portal, I think there's an Instagram page called The Transfer Portal or something like that. I'll shout them out
That's
next
awesome.
episode and drop that. But I follow it. They have everything, and then they have the up to date right away. So I agree with those. Like I said, I think we had somewhat of a plan that you were gonna, how we were gonna structure this show, but it just felt good, kind of talking again. We hadn't talked about that, behind the scenes. I'll I'll say this from my betting perspective. I really want to maybe structure our show, and have some coverage on the NFL draft. How we're big into the betting side of that, and I think since these are technically still college kids, we should expand there with some more coverage and insight on there from a betting perspective and from an analysis perspective, as well as we're gonna work on during the off season, as we call it, just kind of rebranding a little bit. We're gonna stay the same as far as me and Trey. We're not changing anything with that, but I think we're gonna work on rebranding. So you might see some different things over the off season that we're trying out and seeing if it sticks. That includes potentially a name change. I know we've got a really cool profile picture coming up. For us, me and Trey got a fantastic picture of Mike with us and Mike the Tiger. Definitely not sober when we did that, but it was awesome. So I think that was, I literally looked at Trey. I'm like, we've got to get a picture for the pod.
He was so down. So down.
Yeah. So just be aware of that. We're not like I said, we're staying on the same channel. We just might try a few different things. So that's what the off season's all about, and that's how we're gonna get there. Tower 5, 4th and 2. Yeah. Who knows, man? but yeah, no, it was fun. Like I said, I didn't even do any research or prepare anything. That's why I was not really prepared for the coaching question. So I just kind of stuck with some of the big names that I feel deserve a little flame, man. But yeah, that's
No,
it for
this was
me.
good. This
So
was good, and honestly, it felt good just to get back because I've still done like my little audio vlogs, which I may have to start doing here and just post these here, and it's kind of just like a debrief of what happened this week, and Jesus, for a while it was like every day was something. I had to like delete it and then re-record it, and delete it and then re-record it, like every like 8 hours because there was something new that would happen. But I think as it stands, man, I'm super excited to be back. Super excited to have you guys here. Obviously, gone a little bit long here, 50 minutes. Thank you guys for all the comments in the chat. Obviously, the viewers that we've gotten, the ones that we'll get once we post it up. But stick with us. We got some pretty interesting stuff coming down the pipe, and I'm really, 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 really ready for what's coming next year with college football. But we'll get back into it. Again, we're going to try to get a National Signing Day reaction video. Now, whether or not that happens on Wednesday is certainly up to the schedules of Russo and myself. And as you all know, that sort of changes at times. We are going to definitely try and be back here as soon as we possibly can with that and talk about National Signing Day as we see it. But until then, that's what we've got. This is who we are. I'm super excited to be here. Thanks, guys.
later, guys.